Hey guys, welcome into the Josh Reese Show. We're here talking about the Rockets' Game 3 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 115 to 113. They finally did it. They finally found a way to lose to Russell Westbrook. Uh, to recap this game is it's pretty simple. Rockets at one point trailed by 15. In the fourth quarter, they trailed by 10. Midway through the fourth quarter, they started to get it rolling. And with a minute left in the game, the Rockets were within 2 points. And the Rockets had two chances down the stretch to either win the game or tie the game. And James Harden took contested threes both times, and the Rockets ended up coming away with a loss. Best described, I saw Matt Moore on Twitter, kind of described it like this, and I think it's kind of really appropriate. Think of it like a boxer, right? And he's just, and then the Thunder like stay down. Rockets like nah, keep on coming. Thunder beat up the Rockets again. Rockets still coming for more. Thunder still lobbying punches at the Rockets. Rockets are still there. The Thunder did everything they could in Game 3. Russell Westbrook had a triple-double. Taj Gibson had 20 points. Andre Roberson hit threes again. Everything they could. And yet the Rockets were still right there. It's got to be pretty demoralizing, I would have to imagine. I know they might be a little bit excited about picking up the win, but come on, seriously. They did everything right, and yet the Rockets were still there. Still there. Had James Harden made one of those threes down the stretch, Rockets walk away with a win. And at one point down the stretch, we were tied. Maybe the Rockets led. So I mean, lots of craziness, I'm sure, for Russell Westbrook in the back of his mind. Like, damn, I scored 51 on one game. We couldn't win. Tonight I had a triple double, 30-point triple double, whatever it was, and we still just barely eked out a win. So, good news for the Rockets. Like I mentioned, they were right there. And well, before we move on, I guess we should speculate why James Harden went for threes instead of trying to tie the game with those last two possessions. And Patrick Beverley had fouled out of the game, and James Harden was working with 5 fouls already. So while that is not the exact reason, Ryan Anderson had 4. So I mean, some of their key players were in foul trouble. So while that is not an exact reason, and James Harden didn't really go into it post game either, and neither did Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni said they were good shots. James Harden just said both shots looked good, but they were just a little bit short. Whatever it was, might be paraphrasing a little bit, but that I'm sure played into it a little bit, and the more and more I think about it, I'm not disappointed with how the Rockets ended the game with that final three. That one I'm fine with. But the possession before, I'm a little bit disappointed on. I'd like to think the Rockets would have came out with a little bit of a better shot, or had James Harden moved it to somebody else to take a better shot. So I don't want to harp on it too much. More often than not, James Harden has been gold for the Rockets and won them games on a last possession. And Taj Gibson, after the game on ESPN, pretty much said on that last 3-point attempt, he was, put his head between his knees and was praying to Jesus. So the Thunder were scared to death that James Harden was going to make that shot, because I'm sure they've seen it numerous times on game film alone, how many times James Harden has finished a game by himself. And if you're Mike D'Antoni, you trust James Harden to make the right decision. So I'm not gonna get down on James on that last three. The one before, that one was disappointing. I'm disappointed in you, James. So moving on from this game, there is some good stuff to take away to talk about for Game 4, which will be on Sunday. Ryan Anderson finally found his shot. He had 18 points in Game 3. While he was only 2 for 7 from 3, he did find his shot. He had a couple mid-range jumpers. Ryan Anderson looked much better than the first two games against the Thunder. He played 33 minutes overall, a few minutes more uptick from Game 2, still down overall from Game 1. But you did see some unique lineups with Ryan Anderson. He played center a couple times, and he held his own, had a couple nice putbacks. I thought Ryan Anderson had a decent game. I think he was +1 overall. Clint Capela, however, I have a mixed bag feeling with Clint Capela. I'd love to know what you guys think of how he played. He only had 2 rebounds overall, but every time I try to remember Clint Capela in Game 3, I felt like he was fairly impactful. He had those couple weird possessions where Enes Kanter took him to school, but then he had a couple other possessions where he really held his own against Kanter and forced him into misses. So I don't really know what to exactly make of Clint Capela's night. He was by far the worst Rocket overall. He was -15 while he was on the floor, and I'm not really sure. I'd love to know what everyone else thinks about him. Is there a consensus? I felt like I saw some people after the game speculating that Nene should start over Clint Capela. I don't know. I mean, doesn't really matter. They both play the exact same amount of minutes. You start with Nene, you start with Clint Capela, I don't know. I think what we could see is a little bit more of Ryan Anderson at center. Mainly because I think that might be a lineup I think the Rockets want to go to in the San Antonio series. And this might be a good way to start really, building that sort of chemistry with Rhino at the 5. But that's a little here nor there. So, game 4 is on Sunday, and we're guaranteed a game 5 at least, which will be Tuesday here in Houston. But I think the Rockets are going to end up pulling out game 4. I have a really good feeling about it. Game 3, we saw the Thunder just shoot absolutely ridiculously from the field. I think it was 55% overall. Taj Gibson had 20 points. I want to say it was something crazy, like 7 of 12 or something like that. Something ridiculous. He had a very, very good night. I don't think that happens again. Victor Oladipo made shots. Andre Roberson made shots. The Thunder were making shots all over the place. I like to think the Rockets will clean that up defensively in Game 4. And if you get this exact same game from the Rockets offensively in Game 4, I think you're going to be fairly happy with the results that you get, however it lands. 113 points is enough to beat a lot of teams in this league. So I don't expect the Oklahoma City Thunder to come out and shoot 55% again in Game 4. I expect the Rockets to be a little bit more competitive on defense, and I expect the Rockets to walk out of Sunday night with a win and a chance to finish the game in Houston on Tuesday. So that's pretty much all I got here. I appreciate you guys for giving this a watch. Feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, feel free to share, and I would appreciate that. If this is your first time watching, my name is Josh Reese, and you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Joshua. Feel free to check out my channel. I have a lot of stuff on here that I think you would enjoy. This is a channel for you, the Houston sports fans, as I am the face of Houston sports. Guys, I'm going to get out of here, and I will catch you guys after Sunday. Game 4. Win for the Houston Rockets. Till then, try the veal.